So I'm going to talk about type A blood. And type A blood is one of the four main types of blood when you're talking about classification of blood. A type blood, it contains A type antigens and B type antibodies. And those are sort of the main characteristics that separate A type blood from every other type of blood. Because many different types of bloods can have different types of antigens, antibodies. Some don't even have any of those. Um, One might not even have antigens. One might not have antibodies. So those are what make type A blood type A blood. Now the genotypes that type A blood could be written as are homozygous dominant genotype. So it would be IA, IA. Or it can be written as a heterozygous genotype. So that's IA and then the recessive allele. More than likely, the recessive allele will be I, which is the type O allele, one of the type O alleles. And like B type blood, the A type gene is dominant over O. So what I just stated earlier, O is the recessive.
B-type blood is a blood type in the ABO blood group. B-type blood means that a person's red blood cells have B-type antigens on their surface. Antigens are proteins specific to someone's blood type, and they trigger the production of non-complementary antibodies. The Rh factor refers to the third antigen type, which is the Rh antigen. The Rh antigen can also be present on the red blood cells of people with B-type blood, but it is not always present. If it is present, that can be represented by a positive symbol on this B representing B-type blood, but if it is absent, it can be represented by a negative symbol also on the B. The person here has B-type blood without Rh antigens. B-type blood also means that A-type antibodies are created. Antibodies are special proteins that fight foreign antigens like bacteria that enter the body. The type of antibodies in this person are not also B-type, so that the antibodies don't match the red blood cells' antigens. As it can be seen in this image, if the antibodies were also B-type, they would match the antigen type. The antibodies would then attack the red blood cells by attaching themselves to the antigens, and that would clot the bloodstream. This clotting is also called agglutination. This is why a person with blood type B has B-type antigens on their red blood cells and A-type antibodies in their plasma. There are two possible genotypes for B-type blood, the genotype IBIB and the genotype IBi. These genotypes are made of alleles IB, which is dominant, and little I, which is recessive. These alleles are found on someone's chromosomes. These chromosomes and alleles were passed down from that person's parents. Allele IB is codominant to allele IA and dominant to the recessive allele little I. Allele IB codes for the production of red blood cells with B-type antigens on their surface, while the little I allele codes for the production of red blood cells with no antigens on their surface. When allele IB is in the presence of another IB allele, like here, they are codominant, which produces A-type antibodies and red blood cells with B-type antigens. When allele IB is in the presence of a little I allele, the dominant allele IB produces the phenotype of B-type blood since it's dominant to the recessive little I allele. Thank you.
The blood type I will be talking about today is blood type O. Blood type O is recessive, and although it is recessive, it is the most common blood type in people. As you can see, blood type O is represented by two lowercase i's, which is II. It's lowercase due to it being recessive, which in comparison to another blood type, which would be type A, let's say it's capital I, A, lowercase I, which means that the I is dominant because of the capital I. As you can see, there's an A antigen and a B antibody. Since there's an antigen, there's only one antibody left to back it up. But unlike one antibody and antigen, in blood type O, there is no antigens on the surface. And instead, since there's no antigens on the surface, it's left with two antibodies to back it up, type A and B. As you can see, since it's recessive, there's only one genotype left for blood type O, which, as I've already stated, that we correspond with is lowercase II. It is lowercase due to it being recessive alleles, and since it's recessive, there's only one way the genotype can be made out to blood type O, which would be II or OO.
Hello, this is the recording for Task 1, AB blood. As shown here, AB blood is a mixture of the two blood types, A and B. It produces no antibodies of its own, but has both A and B antigens, which is why it agglutinates in the presence of A and B antibodies. The possible genotypes for type AB blood is only IA, IB, since it's a combination of type A and type B blood. And this is also an example of co-dominance because both of the alleles here are dominant. Thanks for watching.